You meet someone new, a handshake, one sentence, maybe less, and somewhere in your head, a verdict has already been reached. Trustworthy or not, competent or not, someone you'd help or someone you'd avoid. You didn't decide that. It happened before you could. Psychologist Alexander Todorov wanted to know exactly how fast that verdict forms. He showed people unfamiliar faces for just 1/10 of a second, barely enough time to blink, then asked them to rate traits like trustworthiness and competence. The ratings barely changed even when he gave people a full second to look. Whatever your brain decides about a stranger, it decides almost instantly, and staring longer doesn't really change its mind. That should sound impossible. A face can't actually tell you if someone is trustworthy, and yet your brain is completely convinced it can. Here's why. For most of human history, you never met strangers without stakes attached. A new face in your camp was either a threat or an ally, and there usually wasn't time to find out slowly. Brains that could guess fast, even imperfectly, survived more encounters than brains that waited for full information. You inherited that guessing machine. It never turned off. Psychologist Nalini Ambady studied something she called thin slicing, the brain's ability to make accurate feeling judgments from tiny slivers of behavior. In one of her most famous studies, people watched silent video clips of college professors, just a few seconds long, and rated them on warmth and competence. Their ratings closely matched evaluations from students who had sat through an entire semester with those same professors. A few seconds, no sound, and the impression barely moved after months of actual experience. Your first read isn't guesswork you can shake off later. It becomes the lens. Everything after gets filtered through. This connects to something psychologists call the halo effect, first documented by Edward Thorndike back in 1920. He noticed that when military officers rated a soldier as physically strong, they'd also unconsciously rate that same soldier higher on leadership, intelligence, even loyalty, with no actual evidence for any of it. One positive trait quietly paints every other trait the same color. You do this constantly. Someone dresses sharply, and you assume they're more competent. Someone speaks confidently, and you assume they're more likely correct. Someone smiles easily, and you assume they're more honest. None of those things are actually connected. Your brain links them anyway, because untangling them takes effort it evolved to skip. Here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. This isn't something only careless or shallow people do. Todorov's studies show the exact same instant judgments appearing in trained professionals, judges, hiring managers, doctors, people whose entire job depends on staying objective. The instinct doesn't check your credentials first. Think about your own life. A resume with a slightly unusual name gets a different reaction before a single qualification is read. A job candidate's handshake gets weighed more than what they actually said. A stranger's tone of voice on a call decides how much patience you extend to them before you know a single fact about who they are. You are not lazy for doing this. You are running hardware, built for a world where a slow judgment could get you killed, now operating in a world of resumes, video calls, and strangers you'll interact with for exactly 4 seconds and never see again. So what do you do with that? You can't switch off a reflex this old, but you can learn to notice the moment it fires and treat that first verdict as a hypothesis instead of a fact. Todorov's own research offers a strange comfort here. Awareness of the bias doesn't erase it, but it does weaken how much you let it steer your decisions once you know it's there. Next time you meet someone new, notice the verdict arriving before the conversation even starts. That's not who they are. That's just how fast your ancient brain still moves.